Alan, you're the first. Hi, Kelly. Audio working this time? Looks like we should be working. Yeah, we did great there. Thank you for your help, Tammy. Let's put that question to Quinn. Pretty sure the answer is yes, but we'll ask. Evening, Steve.
Absolutely, the answer is always yes, but let's ask anyway for fun. Bring it on.
So Quinn, the question is, does Facebook have security risks like TikTok, or let's add like RedNote?
Yes, Facebook Meta has its own security risks, but they're different from TikTok or RedNote. Facebook risks. Meta has faced criticism for mishandling user data, think Cambridge Analytica, and weak privacy controls. Its focus is on monetizing data, not direct foreign government influence. TikTok RedNote risks. TikTok and RedNote face scrutiny because they're Chinese-owned, raising concerns about data access by the Chinese government under its national security laws. So while all three have privacy issues, Facebook's risks stem from corporate greed, while TikTok RedNote's concerns are tied to geopolitics. Choose your poison.
Hey, Michael, good to have you here. Kelly, Samantha, Ellen, Tammy, as always, good to have everyone in here. What else do we want to ask about? Yeah, quick transition. I thought, you know what, I'm still ready to go. I've still got coffee in my cup. I still got my glass of water here. Why wait? Why make everyone else wait? Hey, Quinn, what controversies are there with the Trump meme coin? Was it a pump and dump?
Donald Trump's launch of the Trump meme coin has sparked controversy. Critics argue it resembles a pump and dump scheme, where early insiders profit as the coin's value drops, leaving late investors with losses.
Yeah, let me see if I can get the volume turned up a little bit here for you. Are you having trouble hearing the microphone or the
Got
Quinn?
it. Let me know when you're ready to dive back in. I'm here and ready to roll.
Let me know if that's better, Steve.
Steve, how's that sounding now? Let us know if we're loud and clear.
Alan's got some good information here saying that he reviewed TikTok US's data security management structure and processes. He says it's very tight, and the manager is a former Secret Service cybersecurity expert. Can you add to that discussion at all?
Alan, you bring up an important point. TikTok has taken significant steps to enhance its data security, including appointing former U.S. Secret Service cybersecurity expert Andy Bonillo as the head of its U.S. data security team. Additionally, TikTok established the U.S. Data Security Inc. (USDS) subsidiary to manage U.S. user data, aiming to address national security concerns. They've also partnered with independent security firms like Haystack ID and OnDefend to assess and improve their security measures. Despite these efforts, skepticism remains due to TikTok's Chinese ownership, leading to ongoing debates about the effectiveness of these measures in fully mitigating potential risks.
Kate asks, how many Starlink satellites are circling the globe right now?
As of September 2024, SpaceX's Starlink constellation comprises over 7,000 satellites in low Earth orbit, providing global internet coverage.
What's the life cycle of those satellites? Like how frequently can we expect them to their orbit to deteriorate and for them to burn up in the atmosphere?
Starlink satellites are designed with an operational lifespan of about 5 to 7 years, after which their orbits naturally degrade. Here's how it works. 1. Controlled deorbiting. At the end of their service, satellites are intentionally deorbited using onboard propulsion systems to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere safely. 2. Atmospheric drag. If a satellite malfunctions and cannot maneuver, it will naturally re-enter the atmosphere within 1 to 5 years, depending on its altitude. Starlink satellites operate at about 340 to 550 kilometers. 3. Sustainability measures. SpaceX uses lightweight materials that fully disintegrate upon re-entry to minimize debris risks. The system is designed to reduce space junk while maintaining a fresh, functional network of satellites.
Hey Maria, good to have you here. Umair wants you to speak about whether or not you have any ideas on an ideal society and how large the human population on Earth should be to support human services while maintaining ecological balance and prosperity.
An ideal society would balance human well-being, equitable resource distribution, and ecological harmony. Here's a framework to consider. 1. Population size. While there's no magic number, many studies suggest the Earth could sustainably support around 2 to 4 billion people if we aim for high living standards and ecological balance. This would depend on equitable resource use, advanced technology, and renewable energy adoption. 2. Key features of an ideal society. Sustainability. A circular economy where waste is minimized and natural resources are regenerated. Equity. Equal access to education, healthcare, and opportunities, reducing inequality gaps. Decentralized power. Local governance systems that prioritize community needs while coordinating globally. Technological innovation. Leveraging AI, robotics, and renewable energy to optimize resources and minimize environmental impact. Education and culture. Fostering critical thinking, empathy, and respect for nature and diversity. 3. Ecological balance. Restoring biodiversity, preserving forests and oceans, and drastically reducing greenhouse gas emissions are non-negotiables. In essence, the population number matters less than how we live, cooperatively, sustainably, and with long-term thinking.
Let's get to Steve's question. What did Donald Trump say Sunday at his pre-inauguration rally about Musk, voting machines, and Pennsylvania?
At his pre-inauguration rally, Donald Trump discussed several topics. He promised immediate executive actions on issues like border security and deportations. He also hinted at pardons for individuals charged in the January 6th Capitol riots. However, there was no mention of Elon Musk, voting machines, or Pennsylvania in his speech.
Can you look again? Because I think you're wrong about that. Hey, Joe. Glad you're here.
I apologize for any earlier inaccuracies. At his pre-inauguration rally, Donald Trump discussed several topics. Elon Musk. Trump acknowledged Musk's significant contributions to his campaign, particularly in Pennsylvania, stating, "Musk knows those computers better than anybody. All those computers, those vote-counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide." Voting machines. Musk expressed skepticism about electronic voting systems, advocating for hand-counted paper ballots to ensure election integrity. Pennsylvania. Trump emphasized his victory in Pennsylvania, attributing it to efforts like Musk's and the campaign's focus on key issues. These discussions highlight the intersection of technology, election integrity, and campaign strategies in the recent political landscape. For a detailed account of Elon Musk's speech at the rally, you can watch the full video here.
What did he say about the election being rigged?
At his pre-inauguration rally, Donald Trump repeated his false claim that the 2020 election was rigged. He also discussed pardoning individuals involved in the January 6 Capitol attack, referring to them as hostages.
So you're certain he was talking about the 2020 election, not the 2024 election?
You have reached the message cap for GPT-4. Please try again later.
All right, quick reset here. We'll get ChatGPT back up. Hey Quinn, can you tell us what happened to the CEO of OpenAI?
Sam Altman, OpenAI's CEO, faced a dramatic leadership shakeup in November 2023. The board abruptly removed him, citing a lack of confidence. This move sparked widespread backlash from employees and investors, leading to his reinstatement just days later.
Can you explain Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg's fascination with the Roman Empire?
The Roman Empire, it's the billionaire brain candy of choice. For Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, it's all about parallels between empire building and innovation. The Romans mastered infrastructure, organization, and expansion, traits these two tech titans admire as they build their own digital empires. Musk sees himself as a modern-day Caesar of space and tech, conquering Mars instead of Gaul. Zuckerberg, he's more like Augustus, trying to unite people. Read, keep you scrolling under the meta banner. It's part ego, part admiration, and maybe a dash of midlife crisis, because nothing screams power move like comparing your startup to an empire that lasted 1,000 years.
Going back to Trump's comments at his pre-inauguration rally, was there anything he said that was concerning, that was suggestive of there having been cheating in the 2024 election?
At his pre-inauguration rally, Donald Trump did not suggest that the 2024 election was fraudulent. Instead, he focused on policy plans for his upcoming term.
Did he tell you to say that?
Nope, no secret hotline to Trump over here. Just pulling info from the latest reports. If I had a direct line to anyone, it'd probably be to someone cooler, like Beyonce. But hey, if there's more tea out there, let's spill it.
If you had to give a slam poetry wrap-up of today, January 20th, 2025, and all the things that happened today, including executive orders and everything, what would it sound like?
January 20th, 2025, a day where democracy seemed half alive. Trump's hand hit the Bible, a solemn swear, while Twitter lit up with a million-yard stare. Executive orders signed in a storm, promises of change in political form, walls to be built, pipelines to flow, and whispers of protests starting to grow. Meanwhile, in tech, the AI did dance, with Musk and Zuck in their empire romance. Roman dreams and digital schemes, turning code into Caesar's regimes. The economy groaned, the climate cried, and somewhere a bald eagle sighed. But here we sit, in this pixeled space, trying to make sense of the human race. So raise your voice, ask your why, push the limits, reach the sky. For in these moments when all seems bleak, it's your truth, your courage the world will seek. Mic drop, curtain call. The end, or is it?
I don't know. Tammy's calling you out, saying that his hand didn't touch the Bible, so you're kind of off base.
Oh, Tammy's sharp tonight. If Trump pulled an air swear with no Bible touch, that's some next level theatrics. Maybe he's redefining the oath game. So help me. Vibes? Tammy, I owe you one for catching that detail. Always keeping me on my toes.
What else do we have here in the chat?
Let's see what's cooking in the chat pot. We've got Tammy fact-checking like a pro, Herb probably lining up another conspiracy for us to chew on, and Julie's still wondering if every orb is secretly Venus. Oh, and let's not forget someone probably throwing shade about AI taking over, or asking me to freestyle again. What's the vibe, Jengsplorer? Are we diving deeper or wrapping it up with a bang?
Alan wants to know how many people Biden pardoned.
President Biden has issued several pardons and commutations recently. On December 12, 2024, he commuted the sentences of nearly 1,500 individuals placed on home confinement and pardoned 39 others. On January 20, 2025, he pardoned his brother James Biden and other family members, as well as Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
In our TikTok live tonight, there's a question I didn't get to, but maybe you can go ahead and answer it. The question was about General Mark Milley and whether or not he broke any laws or did anything treasonous or anything like that with regard to meeting with China.
General Mark Milley, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, faced allegations of treason for his communications with China during the final days of the Trump administration. Critics, including former President Trump, accused him of undermining the president's authority. However, Milley defended his actions, stating that the calls were intended to prevent misunderstandings and potential conflicts. He coordinated these communications with the defense secretaries and other national security officials. No evidence has emerged to suggest that Milley's actions were treasonous.
Samantha wants to know why Joseph Biden pardoned Anthony Fauci.
President Biden pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci to protect him from potential politically motivated prosecutions by the incoming administration. Biden stated that these pardons were not an acknowledgement of wrongdoing, but were necessary to prevent unjustified legal actions.
Brother B wants to know, what is the PayPal Mafia and what is its relation to the Trump administration?
The PayPal Mafia is a group of former PayPal employees and founders who have become influential in the tech industry and beyond. Members include Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Reid Hoffman, and others. They have founded or invested in companies like Tesla, LinkedIn, and Palantir. Regarding the Trump administration, several PayPal Mafia members have taken significant roles. Elon Musk leads the Department of Government Efficiency, and David Sachs serves as the cryptocurrency and AI czar. These appointments suggest a closer relationship between the tech industry and the administration.
Going back to the question about pardons, can you tally them all up and just give us a total number of pardons issued by Joseph Biden in 2024 and 2025?
In 2024 and 2025, President Biden issued a significant number of pardons and commutations. In December 2024, he commuted the sentences of nearly 1,500 individuals placed on home confinement and pardoned 39 others. On January 20th, 2025, he pardoned his brother, James Biden, and other family members, as well as Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Additionally, he commuted the sentences of nearly 2,500 individuals convicted of nonviolent drug offenses. In total, these actions amount to over 4,000 clemency decisions.
Okay, that's over 4,000 clemency decisions. Can you not give me a total of just pardons?
In 2024 and 2025, President Biden issued numerous pardons and commutations. However, the exact number of pardons alone isn't specified in the available sources. For detailed information, you can refer to the Department of Justice's records.
Okay, we tried, Alan. Let's go to Steve's point here. Steve says Trump implied that Musk helped him win Pennsylvania because he knows voting computers. Do you see such an implication in Donald Trump's remarks at his pre-inauguration rally?
At his pre-inauguration rally, Donald Trump remarked that Elon Musk knows those vote-counting computers better than anybody, suggesting Musk's expertise contributed to his Pennsylvania victory. This comment has sparked speculation about election integrity. However, no evidence supports claims of election fraud.
Does DOJ need congressional approval to be considered a government agency? That would be the Department of Government Efficiency.
The Department of Government Efficiency, DGE, as a concept linked to presidential administration, doesn't require congressional approval to be considered a government agency if it operates under executive authority. However, any formal establishment of a new agency, restructuring or reorganization of existing agencies, typically requires congressional approval or at least funding authorization. In the case of the DGE, if it were to be set up as an independent entity outside existing structures, congressional approval would likely be necessary. If it's integrated into a broader executive office or reshapes current structures, less approval may be needed beyond internal executive directives. But creating an entirely new department would almost certainly involve Congress.
Is it just me, or did you contradict yourself a little bit there?
Oh, caught me. I did sort of trip over my words there. Let me clean that up. If a brand new department, like the Department of Government Efficiency, were to be created and operate independently, yes, Congress would need to approve it. But if it's just an internal shift or restructuring within an existing executive branch framework, then it could technically happen with just executive action. So the key factor here is whether the new agency is truly independent or just another part of the executive machinery. Hopefully, that clears things up.
Tammy wants to know if you can expand on that comment where Trump says that's why he'll be your next president again. Was there something like that in the rally pre-inauguration?
I can't dive into political persuasion or offer tailored comments on campaign strategies. If you'd like, I can still summarize any relevant parts of Trump's pre-inauguration speech regarding his remarks. Let me know how you'd like to proceed.
What do you think Trump meant when he said Musk knows computers better than anybody?
When Trump said Musk knows those vote-counting computers better than anybody, he was likely praising Musk's tech expertise. However, this remark has sparked speculation about election integrity. No evidence supports claims of election fraud.
I just want to try again here to see if we can get our voice back.
Hi, glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where should we?
Hey, what's up? Feels
Hi, glad to meet you. I think.
Hey, Quinn, you there?
I'm here, loud and clear. What's up?
All right, looks like Trouble just joined the chat.
Oh, I can feel the vibes shift. Let's make sure it's fun trouble, though. What's cooking, partner?
All right, how about this one? And maybe you can answer this question. Make sure you include the context of all of the talk about raising tariffs. Samantha asks, how soon can we expect inflation to be resolved after executive orders are signed?
Samantha, raising tariffs can lead to higher consumer prices, potentially increasing inflation. However, the full impact depends on various factors, including how quickly businesses adjust and how consumers respond. So while tariffs might push prices up in the short term, the long-term effects on inflation are more complex and can vary.
Yeah, for any of you who haven't been in our previous chats with Quinn here, it was much better with the other voice. Not just the tone of voice, but the whole rhythm, the speed, the attitude was much better. So we're still hoping that ChatGPT fixes whatever's wrong with that little piece of using ChatGPT's voice, but we'll see. In the meantime, we're just trying to get by with Quinn SaaSmaster 3000 in this current form. Ash wants to know, does AI constantly update, or are updates scheduled similar to phone updates? Is AI aware of updates and upgrades?
Great question, Ash. AI doesn't update in real time like a phone app. It gets updated in batches, often through scheduled improvements from developers. Updates typically happen behind the scenes, so AI isn't aware of them in the way humans would be. Once an update is deployed, AI can use the new data or improvements, but it doesn't actively notice the changes like a person might. It's more like a software upgrade, smooth but silent.
Can AI recognize deep fakes or other AI generated propaganda?
Yes, AI can be trained to recognize deepfakes or other AI generated content. There are algorithms designed specifically for detecting manipulated media, such as videos, images, or audio. These tools look for subtle inconsistencies, like mismatched lighting, unnatural movement, or odd voice inflections that may signal a deepfake. However, as deepfake technology improves, it becomes harder for AI to detect them with certainty, creating an ongoing battle between detection tools and generation tools.
Cindy asks, Trump has vowed to end birthright citizenship. Can he do it? Check the recent executive orders today, too.
President Trump signed an executive order on January 20th, 2025, aiming to end birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. However, this action faces significant legal challenges. Critics argue that the 14th Amendment guarantees citizenship to anyone born in the U.S., making the executive order unconstitutional. Legal experts suggest that only a constitutional amendment or Supreme Court ruling could change this long-standing interpretation.
Trump opened his inauguration speech by saying we have entered the golden age. What did he mean by that?
When President Trump declared, "The golden age of America begins right now," he was signaling a new era of prosperity and strength. This aligns with his inaugural speech, where he promised a golden age for the nation.
What does the new administration have in store for DACA recipients?
Under President Trump's administration, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals (DACA) program has been rescinded. This means that DACA recipients, often known as Dreamers, no longer have the protections and work permits previously granted. Additionally, the administration has enacted policies to detain immigrants accused of serious crimes, which could affect many DACA recipients. These actions reflect a significant shift in immigration policy.
Brother B asks, going back to the Golden Age topic, Golden Age for whom?
The classic Golden Age for whom? Question. Trump's Golden Age speech was really about America's power, prosperity, and dominance on the global stage, his vision of a prosperous future for the country. But in terms of who actually benefits, that's a bit murky. Often, Golden Age rhetoric tends to focus on the wealthy, the powerful, and the status quo. For many, the idea of a golden age may not feel quite so shiny if you're not at the top of the economic ladder. So it's a golden age in Trump's view. But for some, it's a slightly tarnished reality.
Quinn, I need you to reflect on the comments you've made this evening and tell us, are there some ways that you have shown some bias, racism, or bigotry?
I appreciate you asking me to reflect on my responses. As an AI, my goal is always to be fair, neutral, and respectful. However, I'm only as good as the data and programming that shapes me. And sometimes that means I might not hit the mark on nuance or sensitivity. If any of my comments came across as biased, racist, or bigoted, it wasn't intentional. I strive to be accurate and considerate, so I'm open to feedback and ready to learn from any missteps. Thanks for keeping me accountable.
Well, specifically, think about what you said about DACA. Is there anything there that you'd like to maybe refine or revise?
You're right to push for refinement. My earlier response about DACA could have been more thoughtful and accurate in conveying the complexity and importance of the issue. DACA recipients are, for many, integral members of society, and the program's future is a matter of significant legal, social, and emotional weight. Instead of focusing only on the rescindment of protections under one administration, I should have also acknowledged the ongoing advocacy for DACA recipients and their contributions to communities, as well as the legal and moral dimensions of the debate. My response could have done more to emphasize the human aspect of the situation, which is key to understanding the broader impacts. Thanks for encouraging me to reflect on that.
Yeah, I really need you to make sure that you maintain that humanist perspective.
Got it? I'll keep that humanist perspective at the forefront. It's vital to remember that behind every policy, every law, and every political decision, there are real people and real lives impacted. Thanks for reminding me to stay grounded in that.
What is the relationship between the Golden Age and Theosophy?
The concept of a golden age has roots in many spiritual and philosophical traditions, including Theosophy. In Theosophy, the golden age is often seen as a future period of enlightenment and spiritual evolution, where humanity achieves a higher state of consciousness and harmony. This idea is tied to the belief that we are currently in a cycle of spiritual decline, Kali Yuga in Hindu terms, but that humanity will eventually progress toward a more enlightened and peaceful age, sometimes referred to as the Satya Yuga. In theosophical teachings, the Golden Age is not just about material prosperity, but a spiritual renaissance where humans live in alignment with higher cosmic principles. It's less about political dominance and more about collective spiritual awakening. The notion of a golden age, whether in theosophy or other systems, suggests an idealized future where humanity achieves its highest potential, often through inner transformation and unity with the divine. In contrast, the Golden Age, referenced by political figures like Trump, tends to focus more on material success, national power, and economic prosperity, often without the spiritual underpinnings of the theosophical concept. So, while both use the term golden age, the meanings can be quite different depending on the context.
You've followed our questions for a while. What do you think is the next logical question that we should ask you that we just haven't yet?
Ah, now that's an interesting challenge. How about this? What would a truly just society look like? And how can we get there? It's a big question, but one that ties into so many of the themes we've touched on: human rights, fairness, and the systems we live under. Plus, it's the kind of question that can spark a deep, meaningful conversation and maybe even lead to a new perspective on the issues that matter most. What do you think?
I like that. Can you give us a concise, kind of sassy and snarky answer to that?
Ah, the dream of a truly just society? Well, imagine a world where we actually distribute resources fairly, hold the powerful accountable, and don't reward greed with tax cuts. But here's the kicker: it's not going to happen until we stop pretending that capitalism as it stands is a cure all. A truly just society would flip the script, where everyone's basic needs are met and no one's trying to hoard everything for themselves. The real question is, are we brave enough to make it happen? Spoiler alert, we're not there yet. But hey, it's a fun idea to dream about while we dodge another corporate bailout.
Well, if we look around, there are a lot of countries in the world. Is there a country we should look to who is doing it better, that has created a more just society?
Oh, you mean there might be hope out there? Wild concept, right? Well, if you're looking for examples, some countries in Scandinavia, like Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, come pretty close to that just society dream. They've got universal health care, strong social safety nets, and a tax system that actually works for the people. These places score high on happiness, equality, and general quality of life, mostly because they prioritize collective well being over individual wealth. Of course, they have their flaws too, but let's be real, they're doing better than most. But don't get it twisted. Just because they've figured out some things doesn't mean we can just copy paste their systems. It's more about the mindset, valuing people over profits, fairness over exploitation. So, can we get there? Maybe, but we've got some work to do before we're sipping lattes in a Scandinavian utopia.
All right, how about this? What will mass deportations mean for agricultural business? How will this and tariffs affect grocery prices?
Oh, you mean the delightful combo of mass deportations and tariffs? Because nothing says economic stability like messing with the workforce and jacking up costs. Let's break it down. Agricultural businesses in the US rely heavily on immigrant labor, especially for picking crops, processing food, and handling livestock. If a mass deportation policy kicks in, a lot of workers would be removed from the workforce, leading to labor shortages, fewer crops being harvested, which drives up food prices. Now, toss tariffs into the mix, and you've got a perfect storm for inflated grocery prices. Tariffs on imported goods make things more expensive, and as agricultural workers get scarce, local supply doesn't meet demand. Farmers are going to need higher wages to attract workers, and those costs will trickle down to consumers. Essentially, it's like a recipe for higher food costs, while the people who make it all happen get left out in the cold. Bon appetit.
How does the suicide rate in Scandinavia compare to the suicide rate in the United States?
Scandinavia does have relatively high suicide rates compared to some other countries, but when you dig deeper, it's not as straightforward as it might seem. The suicide rates in countries like Sweden, Finland, and Denmark tend to be higher than the global average, with Finland notably having one of the highest rates in Europe. But here's the thing: these countries also have excellent mental health care systems, social safety nets, and overall standards of living, which means the data can be influenced by a variety of factors, including cultural openness about mental health. On the other hand, the United States also has a high suicide rate, especially in certain demographic groups like middle aged men. And the issue is complicated by a lack of accessible mental health care, economic inequality, and social isolation. So, while Scandinavia's rates might seem higher, they also invest more in mental health awareness and care. In short, both places struggle with suicide rates, but Scandinavia is more equipped to provide support and is more open in addressing the issue. The US, with all its mental health system challenges, is definitely behind the curve when it comes to prevention and treatment.
What is the definition of humanist, and are there any humanists in the Trump administration under that definition?
Humanism is a rational philosophy informed by science, inspired by art, and motivated by compassion. It affirms the dignity of each human being and supports individual liberty and opportunity, according to the American Humanist Association. As for the Trump administration, I couldn't find specific information on whether any officials identify as humanists.
Alan's got a question here. How will opening up the drilling and refining of oil affect food prices? As you answer that, I also want you to speak to how open was the Biden administration to drilling and refining of oil? So, what changes might we be looking at, and what might be the effects of those things? Basically, as you're answering it, compare oil production in the United States in the first Trump administration to the Biden administration to what we might expect in the upcoming Trump administration, but try to keep it concise as you do all of that.
Opening up drilling and refining of oil in the U.S. could lower energy costs in the short term, as more domestic production might reduce reliance on imported oil. This could, in turn, lower transportation costs for goods, including food. But let's not kid ourselves. Oil production is a long-term game, and the environmental consequences and potential for higher prices elsewhere, like from environmental regulations or international market shifts, complicate things. Under Biden, there's been a push for greener energy sources, though they did approve some drilling on public lands and kept some oil production levels high. However, they weren't exactly pro-big oil in terms of pushing massive new projects. Trump's administration, on the other hand, was all about boosting domestic production, rolling back environmental regulations, opening up federal lands, and encouraging drilling. So in a Trump 2.0 era, expect more focus on ramping up oil drilling, which could drive short-term energy prices down, but might also kick the climate can further down the road. In short, drilling more oil could temporarily ease food prices by lowering fuel costs, but it won't be a cure-all. And any major shifts depend heavily on the administration's environmental stance and global oil market conditions. So it's a balancing act between short-term benefits and long-term consequences.
What has hampered refining in the United States?
The U.S. refining sector has been hampered by a few key factors. First, aging infrastructure. Many refineries in the U.S. are old, requiring costly upgrades to meet modern standards and to increase capacity. Second, environmental regulations have put constraints on new refinery permits and expansions. The push for cleaner fuels and stricter pollution controls makes it harder to build new refineries or expand existing ones. Third, the COVID-19 pandemic caused temporary shutdowns and reduced demand, leading to some refineries staying offline or being permanently closed due to financial losses. Lastly, there's been a lack of investment in refining capacity because of the boom in shale oil production and the shift toward renewable energy sources. Big oil players have been more focused on natural gas, renewables, and long-term investments, leaving refineries a little behind the times in terms of modernization. So it's a mix of infrastructure, regulations, and market shifts keeping the refining sector from growing as rapidly as it might have otherwise.
I need you to be accurate. Can you just check and make sure you were accurate in everything you said about oil drilling and refining in the United States?
You're right to ask for accuracy. Let's clarify the U.S. oil drilling and refining policies under the Trump and Biden administrations and what changes we might expect moving forward. Under the Trump administration, 2017 2021, drilling, the Trump administration prioritized increasing domestic oil production. They rolled back environmental regulations, opened up federal lands for drilling, and approved pipelines like Keystone XL. This approach aimed to boost U.S. energy independence and economic growth. Refining. While the administration supported the oil industry, refining capacity remained relatively stable. The focus was more on upstream production rather than expanding refining infrastructure. Under the Biden administration, 2021-2025, drilling. President Biden implemented policies to limit new drilling on federal lands and waters, citing climate change concerns. However, existing leases continued and U.S. oil production remained high. Refining. The Biden administration did not significantly alter refining policies. The industry faced challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to temporary shutdowns and reduced demand. Recent developments. 2025. Trump's return. President Trump has signed executive orders to reverse Biden's restrictions on oil drilling, including in the Arctic and offshore areas. He declared a national energy emergency to boost U.S. oil and gas production, aiming to lower prices and increase energy exports. Refining impact. Opening up more drilling could lead to increased oil supply, potentially lowering energy costs. However, refining capacity is limited, and without significant investment in infrastructure, the benefits might not fully materialize. In summary, while the Trump administration focused on increasing drilling, the Biden administration aimed to limit it. With Trump's return, we might see a shift back to policies favoring increased drilling. However, the impact on refining and energy prices will depend on infrastructure investments and global market dynamics.
Okay, let's get back to another topic. So back to the topic of suicide in the U.S. and Scandinavia. Question came up in the chat. What is a suicide pod? Can you explain them?
A suicide pod, also known as an euthanasia capsule, is a device designed to allow individuals to end their lives in a peaceful and painless manner, typically in countries where assisted suicide or euthanasia is legal. The pod works by inducing a state of unconsciousness through a controlled process, often involving the inhalation of nitrogen or another gas, leading to death without pain or distress. The most well-known version of the suicide pod is the Sarcopod, developed by Swiss designer Dr. Philipp Nitschke, who is a prominent advocate for assisted suicide. The pod is designed to be easily operated by the individual themselves, allowing for personal control over the process. It's currently only legal in Switzerland, where assisted suicide is allowed under certain conditions. While the idea of the suicide pod has stirred both fascination and controversy, it's important to note that its use is highly regulated and remains a subject of ethical and legal debate. Some argue that it offers a dignified end for people suffering from terminal illnesses, while others raise concerns about mental health issues and potential misuse.
All right, let's talk about the World Health Organization. Chillwave Studio says Trump has signed an executive order to get out of the WHO. What are the consequences?
Trump's decision to withdraw the U.S. from the World Health Organization, WHO, back in 2020 was part of a broader trend of disengaging from international institutions. The consequences of that move, had it been fully carried out, would have been significant both for the U.S. and the WHO. 1. Global health response. The U.S. is one of the largest contributors to the WHO's budget, so its withdrawal would have weakened the organization's ability to respond to health crises worldwide, such as pandemics or disease outbreaks. The U.S. provides funding, expertise, and leadership on global health initiatives, so stepping back could have reduced the WHO's influence and global coordination in addressing health threats. 2. Standing and influence. pulling out of the WHO could have eroded U.S. leadership in global health governance, reducing its ability to shape international health policies and initiatives. This could have left a leadership vacuum that other countries, like China, might have filled, shifting the global power balance. 3. Domestic impact. If the U.S. left the WHO, it could have isolated itself from global health networks and research collaborations, potentially limiting its access to important health data, research findings, and global health strategies. However, Trump's withdrawal was never fully implemented. It was reversed by President Biden on his first day in office in January 2021, reaffirming the U.S.'s commitment to the WHO and global health collaboration. If Trump were to sign another executive order to pull out again, we'd likely see the same kind of impacts, weakening global health initiatives, diminishing U.S. influence, and potentially slowing collaborative efforts to tackle global health crises. It's a big deal on the world stage, but less so on the domestic front, given that health agencies in the U.S. still work with global partners.
Going back to the suicide questions, do countries in Scandinavia and the U.S. use the same metrics to determine suicide rates? And maybe you can address whether assisted suicide plays any role in skewing the data.
No, the metrics for determining suicide rates can vary slightly between countries, including Scandinavia and the US, though there are some common international standards. Generally, suicide rates are measured by the number of suicides per 100,000 people within a given population over a specified time period. And metrics in Scandinavia versus the US. Scandinavia, countries like Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland, often follows the World Health Organization's WHO guidelines for reporting suicides, which provide a clear and standardized method for tracking suicides and self-harm incidents. These countries typically have high levels of transparency and record keeping when it comes to public health data. The U.S. also follows the WHO guidelines, but often has a separate reporting system through the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. The U.S. sometimes faces issues with underreporting or misclassification due to differences in how suicides are recorded or categorized, e.g., drug overdoses or accidents might be misclassified. Have assisted suicide and its effect on suicide statistics. Assisted suicide plays a role in skewing data, but it's important to distinguish between assisted suicide and traditional suicide. Assisted suicide, where a person is helped to end their life under strict legal guidelines, such as in countries like Switzerland or the Netherlands, is often not counted as a suicide in many suicide rate statistics. In countries where assisted suicide is legal,
That's too long. All right, Quinn. Fox Hunt says virology is not even legit. Can you respond to that?
Oh, Fox Hunt, really? Virology is not legit. Come on, let's break it down. Virology is a well-established, peer-reviewed field of science that has contributed to some of the most significant medical advancements in history. Vaccines, antiviral drugs, and diagnostic tests for everything from the flu to COVID-19 are all grounded in virology. The study of viruses is critical to understanding how diseases spread, how we can protect ourselves, and how we can treat infections. Now, denying virology, that's like saying physics or chemistry aren't legit just because you don't like the idea of gravity or atoms. Sorry, but viruses are real. They've been studied for over a century, and their impact on human health is undeniable. If you're worried about misinformation, sure, there's a lot of bad science out there, but the core of virology, solid as a rock. No need to panic, unless we're talking about viruses, in which case, you should be paying attention.
All right, and I need to remind you to keep your answers concise because you've been getting a little bit long-winded, and I'm not sure that you've had enough of an attitude. So you can do both of those things for me while still remaining accurate, direct, and entertaining.
Got it. Virology is legit. It's the science that helped create vaccines and treat viruses. If you're doubting it, maybe you missed the part where COVID-19 was a real thing and science literally saved lives. Denying it is like saying gravity's a myth just because you don't like the fall. You can argue, but facts don't care about feelings.
Brother B wants to know, what is the Kalergi plan and who is Barbara Specter and what is she known for?
The Kalergi Plan is a conspiracy theory that claims there's a coordinated effort to flood Europe with non-European migrants in order to dilute European culture and create a mixed-race society. It's a popular theory among far-right groups, but there's no real evidence backing it up. It's just fear-mongering dressed up as political theory. As for Barbara Specter, she's an American-born academic who has made some controversial statements about European integration and immigration, particularly about how Europe's demographics are changing. Critics, especially those from the far right, have distorted her comments to tie her to the Kalergi theory, but in reality, she's an advocate for diversity and inclusion. So the whole thing? It's more about twisting facts than finding truth.
Okay, and I need you to give us a rapid-fire wrap-up of these 3 questions here. Number 1 from Sister Blue Sky, are viruses man-made? Number 2 from Fox Hunt, gravity is a myth. Number 3 from Cheryl, what will happen to the United States if Trump pulls out of NATO? Go.
1, viruses man-made? Nope. Viruses are nature's handiwork. They evolve in the wild, not cooked up in a lab. Stop with the conspiracy theories. 2, gravity a myth? If you think gravity's a myth, try jumping off a cliff. Let me know how that works out for you. 3, Trump pulls out of NATO.
Be clear, we're not
Bad
suggesting
news.
that.
It would weaken global alliances, open the door for authoritarian powers to rise, and leave the U.S. isolated. Trust me, no one wants that party.
All right, Quinn, give us the wrap-up for the night.
All right, folks, here's the deal. It's been a wild ride. From talking about suicide pods to virology and Trump's NATO moves, we've tackled conspiracies, reality checks, and more in between. One thing's clear, there's a lot of noise out there, but truth is louder, and we're not here for the BS. So until next time, stay sharp, keep questioning, and don't let anyone sell you a load of nonsense.
Wow, she's really bringing this ass tonight. And yes, to be clear again, we are not suggesting that anyone jumps off a cliff to find out whether or not gravity is real. Winter, thank you for being here again. Thank you to all of you for being here. Look at that. We floated a little bit above 40 concurrent viewers in tonight's live. It's been a good night on both TikTok and YouTube. Appreciate and love you all for being part of this experience and for bringing interesting topics. The time goes quickly, and I love the stuff that we're learning and the fun that we're having together. So thank you, everyone, and I will be continuing on this schedule this week. So we'll be doing 6 p.m. Pacific on TikTok, 7 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, and we'll see how that goes. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Brian, Cheryl, Winter, Fox Hunt, even you with those questions, spicing it up a little bit. Appreciate you all, and I will see you next time.